Here we are on our next section when here's Mark Gunther from Oliver Courts, and he's one of our local attorneys. And Mark, there's a period in there that you can fill in the blank that says attorney approval days until the attorney has to get the approval. Typically we put 3 days in there because that's what they recommend and it says in the contract. Now, I'm just curious, if another agent decided to put 1 or 2 days in, is that permissible or not?
It's not permissible, Al, and I won't get too far into it, but the agent that prepared it then is preparing a voidable contract because they're practicing law by eliminating, in essence, the attorney approval period. So any changes to the contract, including striking the 3 days, would be deemed practicing law, and that's something agents are prohibited from doing.
That's good to know, so make sure your agent does not put 1 or 2 days in there and keep it at least 3. Also, after the 3 days, Mark, if we don't have, say 3 days goes by and you've approved the contract, but the buyer, and you're representing the seller, and the buyer's attorney has not approved it, what would happen after that 3 days?
So after the 3 days, we're well within our rights to do, well, 3 things. 1, the easiest, we can sit and do nothing, but I wouldn't advise doing that. 2 would be we can send a demand for attorney approval, and that's served on the other party's attorney.
Does it have to go to the other party's, the buyer as well in this case?
Copies in the party,
okay,
as well as the attorney listed on the contract, and that attorney has 2 days to approve or disapprove the contract, or their approval is deemed waived. Third is the seller can cancel the contract. You have an open contingency hanging out there, and until that contingency is satisfied, like any other contingency, the other party can cancel the contract. So those are your 3 options if you don't get attorney approval. We always try to practice getting attorney approval out as quickly as possible, but it's important that the other side gets their approval out as quickly as possible.
Especially in this market, right, Mark? Because I've seen attorney approvals come in and they are, they cancel a contract. And so if there's a problem with that, obviously. If you don't get an attorney approval quick and it's hanging out there, you have to be careful, because as I said, if the seller and buyer's attorney do not approve it, then there's no contract.
That's very true, Al, especially in this market. We're seeing disapprovals on contracts, and attorneys are well within their rights to disapprove a contract for any reason whatsoever, and that's been held in New York courts. So if the seller receives a higher offer, the buyer has cold feet, whatever it may be, and we do not have to elaborate on that position, we can just cancel it and
disapprove it.
That's, yes, disapprove it and the contract's canceled.
Well, and that is true with this market. We're seeing 10, 12, 15 offers, 3 offers, whatever it is, but you'll see sometimes after the fact another offer come in, the attorney approval is not in yet, and the other party will cancel it because they got a higher offer. So just make sure we get that quickly, and thanks for getting yours in quickly when we have the contract.
Thanks, Al. And something I just want to clarify too, just because it's 3 days in the contract doesn't mean obviously it can't be approved in less than the 3 days, and that's the goal here, is to get the attorney's approvals done as quickly as possible, and then everyone knows they have a firm deal.
And we as agents want to make sure we get the contract out to them if we can in a timely manner, or we want to, the next day or that night when you get the contract signed, or whenever you get it signed, we try to get it out as soon as we can.
That's important, Al, and one thing I'll point out to the potential customers out there is, bear in mind you will be getting a call from your attorney as soon as they receive the contract. So it's important to monitor your voicemail, your phone, etc., so they can speak with you and get that attorney approval out to the other parties and firm up your deal.
And that's a good point, Mark, saying he just doesn't approve the contract or disapprove it when he sees it. He wants to talk with the seller or the buyer, whoever his client is, and make sure this is what you want, this contract as it is written.
Exactly. We go through it, highlight the key terms, and make sure that's everyone's understanding. And occasionally we do have parties that thought something was different, and we would need to address that before we could issue our attorney approval.
Great. Well, thanks again, Mark. We appreciate your being here today, and if anyone's interested in any further details, feel free to contact Mark Gunther at Oliver Courts. or you can contact me at Alan Wood at the Alan Wood team. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan.